Hello and welcome. While Omar Sharif will forever be remembered for his performances in Dr Zhivago and Lawrence of Arabia, he went on to star in more than 120 TV series and films. In his private life, the Egyptian-born actor was a brilliant professional bridge player and a long-time cricket fan, playing with and against some of the world's leading cricketers. He'd already become a star in Egyptian cinema when he got his break into Hollywood after British director David Lean told producers he wanted, quote, a real Arab who speaks English for a role in Lawrence of Arabia opposite Peter O'Toole. Omar followed that with Dr Zhivago, The Fall of the Roman Empire, Genghis Khan, The Night of the Generals, and then Funny Girl with Barbra Streisand. Almost 2 decades after Lawrence, he starred in the television miniseries The Far Pavilions, set in 19th century British colonial India, opposite Ben Cross, Amy Irving and Rossano Brazzi. On a scratchy phone line back in 1984, I had the chance to talk to Omar from his apartment in France. He'd just finished co-starring with Val Kilmer in the comedy romp Top Secret, a slightly unusual kind of film for Omar.
I can't remember you doing that sort of comedy before. Is that the first time you've done sort of a bit of slapstick stuff?
Yes, I did a comedy in the theatre last year in England. And this year, I've been 1 year in England now playing in the theatre.
Right.
And it was a comedy, but it was not quite as outrageous as this.
No. How many takes did you have to do of that scene with the cream puffs and God knows what else?
1 day.
Thank heavens for that.
Yeah.
How did it come about that they wanted you for that role?
Because it appeared to them that I would be the most unlikely person to do that sort of thing. And they're quite right.
Did you have any reservations about doing it?
No, I enjoyed it very much.
Good. I guess we'd better talk a bit about the Far Pavilions, of course. I tried to count the number of different nationalities that you have played over the years. Do you have any idea how many you've played?
Oh, very, very many, I think. At least, I would say 7 or 8.
Oh, well, at least.
Yes, at least.
So for this one, obviously it included several things. Travelling to India, of course.
Which was something I wanted to do very much all my life, to see India.
And had you not been there before?
No, I hadn't been there before.
So what were your impressions?
Well, you know, I was brought up in Egypt.
Yes.
It seemed quite similar in a way. The people were similar. And there's the same disparity and very poor people and people with money.
So you weren't shocked, in other words?
No, I wasn't shocked. But poor people, when they're Oriental, they put all their faith in God and religion and things like that, and they become mystical and they're quite resilient. We always appear to be happy.
Were there any surprises for you then?
No, not really. We were in Jaipur. We didn't move around too much. I spent the whole of my 10 weeks there out in Jaipur.
Right.
And it was quite pleasant.
So, well, you kind of answered my next question, because I was going to ask you whether shooting a film in India does put any additional pressures on an actor at all.
No, it was part of the experience. I wanted to experience India. Well, we had quite a nice time. We had a cricket game every Sunday. So they're very keen on cricket there.
Yes, they are.
I haven't played for a while, and it made me take it up again.
Well, I didn't realise you were a bit of a cricketer.
Yes, I was fairly useful.
And what else?
I was younger, and now I've joined the Lord Staverners, and we just played a match in Monte Carlo two Sundays ago.
Oh, really?
The first ever cricket match in Monte Carlo.
What do you...
We had a couple of very good Australian players in that match.
Who were they?
Yallop was there.
All right.
And Cowprick.
All right. Right. So, and as a cricketer, were you a batsman or a bowler?
Well, I used to be a bit of an all-rounder, but I can't bowl anymore because I'm too old.
So now you're an elegant batsman, are you?
Yes, I'm very good with the bat.
How many runs did you get down in Monte Carlo?
Well, I didn't get to bat at all.
Oh.
We just managed to win the match.
I see. Well, good. And that's very interesting. I've never ever thought of you as bridge. I've always, of course, known about, but not cricket.
Yes, I came to Australia a couple of times to see test matches. I came also to see the one-day game.
Well, when was that?
4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, really? Well, you slipped in and out very quietly.
Also, I came once when there was the first night game, remember?
Yes.
I was there.
Good heavens. Well, you kept it very quiet. Well, apart from the cricket, what about the rest of the things that you had to do out there? It wasn't a very physical role for you, was it? Except a couple of those fighting scenes.
No, except that I did a lot of horse riding.
Yes.
Which I enjoyed because I love the horses, as you know.
Yes.
And it wasn't too hard. It's just the hours were long. We had to get up very early because the location was about an hour and a half away from the hotel.
Right. Yes.
You only got back at 8 or 9 in the evening, so they were long days.
Mm. What was the weather like?
Well, it was quite pleasant, really.
And what was the weather like?
It was just nice because I went there on about the 2nd of January.
Right.
And the weather was quite good then.
Right. Well, one of the lingering impressions of the film, of course, is the incredible detail that seems to have been gone into for the costumes and all to get the feel of that part and that period of India correct.
Yes. It's very important in that sort of film, which is really an old-fashioned romantic film. The costume and the visual effects are very, very important, I think.
Yeah. Was there quite obviously a lot of effort being put into the costumes and the festivities and so on?
The costume people went way over budget. Yes.
The role itself, were you, was it something that you knew about for some time and went after, or did they come to you begging you to do it, or what happened?
They came after me. They asked me to play it. I read the book and I read the script, and I thought it was a very attractive sort of film to make. And when I was a young lad, I used to love this sort of film.
Right.
You know, the 4 white feathers and the Bengal lanciers and all that.
Yes.
And it was that sort of thing. The British Raj I've always found very attractive.
Are you a romantic at heart, are you?
I suppose I am, yes.
And the role itself, I'm sure you hold probably the same feeling about the story as I do, that it does have a Mills and Boonish quality about it, a very sort of a soap opera quality.
Yes.
Did that work?
That's what I mean when I say an old-fashioned romantic film, because, you know.
Yes. But did that...
Now and then it's rather nice to make that sort of thing.
But it didn't worry you a little bit that it was soap opera?
No, you know, I now enjoy playing these sort of secondary parts where I have a good time, I make a reasonable amount of money, and you don't have the responsibility on your shoulders, as it were.
Right. Now, it's interesting that you say that, because one of the impressions that I've had over the years is that you've always taken a pretty light kind of attitude. You've obviously gone in professionally, but about acting and cinema and so on, a fairly light-hearted attitude towards it, and not really being terribly serious, that you prefer to sort of live life to the fullest.
That's not quite so. I'll tell you, as long as I was getting really good films to make and good parts to play, I was very enthusiastic. When I got older and the parts that were offered to me weren't so good, I had to take a light-hearted attitude to it.
Right.
So what I decided to do now is to do theatre for my own pleasure and to satisfy my passion for acting. I've also done a couple of plays for the BBC.
Right.
You know, there's not a lot of money, but there's a lot of enjoyment in my work. And now and then I'm going to, a secondary part in a film and make some money.
Right. Well, I don't know whether you've ever read a... Sorry, go on.
To keep my horses, I say.
How many horses do you have?
I've got 8 racing horses.
And where do you keep those?
In Paris, in Chantilly.
Oh, really? Do you remember doing an interview on the set of Mailing?
Oh, that's a long time ago. That's 16 years ago.
Yeah, it is. But I'd just like to read you a quote. Well, I believe it's a quote from you, from that interview. You say, you were asked about the role of Prince Rudolph, and you said, I haven't a clue, I'm not that kind of an actor. If a director wants Omar Sharif to play a part, he gets Omar Sharif, not the reincarnation of some nutty prince. I play Rudolph too. That's not true?
No.
So you also quoted as...
That I might have been annoyed with the person who interviewed me or something and said anything.
Because it goes on to say, all I care about is getting to the studio on time and remembering my lines, and also that filming was boring, and that the most important thing to have happened in your film career was learning chess.
So yes, filming is boring. There's no doubt about that, because you have to wait. What I meant was that you have such long periods of waiting.
Right.
And you have to keep yourself busy or else you get bored.
Right. Well, that's what I mean.
When they call you to do your scene, that boredom might appear.
Of course. Well, I understand that if you're on the set for 10 hours and you do 2 minutes filming a day...
That's exactly what I meant when I said that.
Yeah. So coming back to my observation about, you do have this reputation as being one of the world's top bridge players, certainly a man about town and so on, and it tends to give that impression of you.
Yes, I really never took interviews quite seriously. I try to make fun of myself when I'm being interviewed.
Right.
Rather than take myself serious.
Right. A bit like Roger Moore.
Always mean that I don't take my work seriously.
Right. Going back to the earlier days when you'd got through, you'd done, 20-odd films, I think, in Egypt before David Lean signed you for Lawrence of Arabia. Was it in your heart and mind then really to sort of stretch out and try to become a top-line international star, or were you just taking it step by step?
No, I always had the ambition ever since I was a child. I didn't want to do anything else.
Were you influenced in those earlier days in Egypt by some of the American films and film stars?
Of course, yes.
What sort of people?
I went to the cinema every day when I was a kid and saw all the films and, dreamt of becoming somebody like that.
Who do you remember from those very earliest days?
Oh, all the old stars, Bogart and Gable and everybody. I mean, all the stars that were then.
Yeah. And you could see those kind of films fairly readily, could you?
Oh, yes, we had a lot of cinemas. We were part of the British Empire.
Of course.
I mean, we were a protectorate.
That's right. I was just wondering, though, if there were any one or two that sort of really stuck in your heart and mind.
I think along those terms, I don't think anyone will ever tell you I wanted to be like somebody.
No.
Everybody says they want to be what they are.
Yes, yeah. Do you, as many people say, do you agree that the role in Lawrence of Arabia was the breaking point for you?
Yes, it was. It's what made me known. And then when I got the Dr. Zhivago part, that sort of was a consecration.
That's good. Well, now you're living permanently in Paris, are you?
No, it's my headquarters, but I travel a lot.
Right. And you said you'd been in Britain for a year. Did you mean that you had been actually living in London?
Yes, I was in the theatre in London.
Right.
I did a play for 7 months.
Right.
And then I did these 2 plays for the BBC. So that took me a whole year.
Right. So, for you now, you're obviously back in Paris. What's on your plate now? Films or theatre or a bit of a rest? And
So I'm going to make a big television series in Russia.
Really?
Yes. It's an American production with the blessings of the Russians. It's about Peter the Great, the Tsar.
Oh, is this? And this it's being made by the guy who did. The story of that murderer who was eventually executed.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know his work, this man, but
Can you remember the producer's name?
Laurence Olivier and Trevor Howard and Vanessa Redgrave, Maximilian Schell, and a lot of Russian actors.
Good Lord. Can you think of the producer's name at all?
No, I could look into my files, but it's not near my hand.
Yeah, no, I think I know who it is, actually. I just can't think of his name.
In Austria, I think. It's a company based in Vienna.
Right.
A company in America, I don't know.
Right.
It's very complicated, the production thing.
I would imagine. And when does that come up for you?
I start in September.
Right. And well, you'll be going to Moscow, obviously, for some time.
For 17 weeks.
Good Lord. Are you looking forward to that?
Well, it's hard work, but it's it's one of these things you get a bit of money as well.
Indeed. Have you been to Moscow before?
No.
Ah.
It's an experience.
It certainly will be. Well, look, I wish you all the very best, and thank you very much for talking to us.
Okay, thank you.
And we hope to see you out here for another cricket series, obviously.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Omar.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Apologies again for the sound quality in this interview. In 1984, I had no idea it might be heard globally 40 years later on something called the Internet. Omar was nominated for an Oscar for his performance in Lawrence of Arabia. His last film was the comedy drama Rock the Casbah in 2013. He died of a heart attack in Cairo, Egypt in 2015.